This is your friend Bill Greeter. I just wanted to kind of go through what I call ORNL Lean Church. I just had the opportunity to go through this on Teams with a few of you guys, but I know there's a few people missing, so I want to record it and just kind of a quick overview of as you get started up again with Lean with the couple of upcoming jobs. I thought it'd be good to just kind of review real quickly because it's been a while, the process. I call it church because this is a presentation that I've given to a bunch of subs, anybody that's new to the process. I call it the ORNL Last Planner System. And, the LPS again is just producing predictable workflows with rapid learnings for continuous improvement, which is, that's keeping score largely. Those are our predictable workflows and rapid learning. And it's also, most importantly, 5 connected conversations: the master planning, then pull planning, look aheads, commitment planning, and learning. The first conversation is the master schedule, the Gantt chart. And again, it's best cases, it's a guess, it's a prediction, it's a hope and a prayer kind of. Because it's very difficult to predict, what we're going to do next week. Forget what you're going to do over 20 weeks or 25 weeks. The idea here is that, this Gantt chart comes out, the schedule comes out, and we pick a milestone. In other words, break that job up into 2 or 3 pieces, and then take each of those pieces and then go to the next conversation, which is the pull part of it. Okay. One of the hopes and dreams I have is to go further upstream with this process and get into the design phase, because I think that's really state of the art in terms of lean. Conversation 2 is the pull plan. So we've broken the job, if it's a long one, into 2 or 3 milestones, and we pull one of the milestones. I know, again, Pat, Central Vet, a couple others, we've pulled the whole job, but I think theoretically, either way is fine. I think it's just by cutting it off at a milestone, it just makes it a little more digestible. It's called team pull planning. We start at the end and work our way backward, break the job into weeks. Each color sticky note represents a sub, and we have a pull plan meeting, and everybody comes in, and what we've done is all the sticky notes have been prepared ahead of time because we get their tasks, and then largely they're just telling us how long and when, and then they have the powerful part is they're making a commitment themselves to when they're going to get started, what's in their way, what needs to be cleared out of their way for them to start, and how long they're going to be there. So it's like Pat said on our call, it's really about accountability to everyone. It's a connected conversation. And the focus is on smooth handoffs, and it creates a strong sense of ownership in the plan. It's our plan versus their plan. And once someone commits to a task, with a certain number of days, with a certain number of people, then everybody knows. So there's a high likelihood of adhering to what they committed. And we measure that too. We measure, did they do what they said they were going to do? And that's the percent plan complete, which we'll get to in a minute. We still can do this on Miro, remotely, Zoom, or you can do it in a trailer. And based on what John said, probably looking at Summit and Tribeca, possibly with Sergio and Johnny McDougall. And, I think conventionally this pull planning is done over a bunch of hours. Doesn't seem very lean to me. I think we got a better way of doing it. One of the things we did adhere to is what goes on the sticky note is the task, what the person needs done before they can start, what's the handoff. We want again, the focus is on smooth handoffs, and then how long they're going to be there. And this particular video, Pat and I watched a couple of years ago, and continuing to develop the ORNL pull plan process. And then the big thing is identifying during this process the constraints, the things that are gonna can bite us, in the future risk, right? And that's kind of where the next conversation helps with, because we want to identify those during the poll plan meeting. I have a couple examples. This is Central Vet. This is the whole job from December to September that Pat polled in about 2 hours and pretty much adhered to it, conduct the orchestra. Um, but again, what we're looking for is the constraints, the things that are going to hold us up. And that's where the look aheads come in. So we want to identify during the poll plan meeting constraints. What can happen? It could be weather, it could be doors, it could be whatever. It could be things that are hard to get. And it's a weekly meeting, where largely you're looking at the next day or next week, I mean. So whatever the poll plan says, you're looking at next week, that's a super. In this case, Sergio, Bob, Johnny, Pat. And then 4 to 6 weeks would be John, Tom. And you just keeping an eye, top of mind, those constraints that have been identified to make sure that when that time comes, the constraint's been taken care of. And then conversation 4 is commitment planning. That's the weekly work planning. That's where the people that are on site are in the trailer, kind of reviewing, what they committed to make sure that they're going to stick with it. Brief daily huddle. And then the learning part is the percent plan complete and the weekly inventory of what went well and what didn't. And the idea is to take lessons learned and adjust the rest of the plan. I mean, I mentioned during the training that we just had, one of my favorite examples, I was in our community with Bob Lewis, where he kind of getting behind, he was herding cats in terms of, contractors on that job, but was able to reshuffle the deck, for the last 6 weeks of the job or last 5 weeks. I don't remember. That's the point of it all is, if we have bad news, we want to make it visible and attack it early on, not wait too long. So the percent plan complete, make adjustments, give feedback. So these are the current jobs. The beautiful Pat right there. And I guess in conversation during a huddle, John again mentioned that Summit and Tribeca are probably jobs that we're going to pull when the time comes. And I think I also like the idea of not doing the poll plan for jobs that are simple. The job Bob's on is a couple of subs, for example. So I think, again, we don't need to use the tool when the complexity and all of the risks, all the things you have to keep in your mind are simple. So I kind of like that idea that, we're not pulling every single job. But when we get to things that are multiple weeks, bunch of subs, just keeping everything in order. And I think Pat got on and talked about the accountability that this process instills in on everybody that's on the job. So, and then in terms of the learning part and picking this back up again, we've been tracking our yearly averages for the percent plan complete. You can see somewhere around 88%. Started at 81% in 2021. We look at the number of commitments. Probably we've already tracked over 2,100 commitments. We look at active jobs and where they're at. We look at reasons why we might have missed, commitment. And largely the biggest number is just labor related. People they didn't bring enough guys, they didn't show up. The whole 9 yards. And I also talked about during the training the fact that at some point I remember with Ange and Pat talking about the fact that guys would show up on a job and you'd have to teach them how to swing a hammer, or you'd have to take them to the blueprint so they know what to do. So I think again, this process, I think it results in better prepared people on the job. And then we track it. I mean, we've looked at over 2,100 opportunities. We got a pretty much good sense over, because a lot, we look at AB Electric has 143 opportunities. Oh, well, over 143, they get a pretty good cross section of evaluations by super, different supers are evaluating them. Are they capable of doing, more than one job at a time? That kind of thing. That stuff starts to get flushed out. So you got pretty good information in terms of who are your green, the top subs, who are the average subs, the yellow, and then who are the below average subs. And, that would pick up again. And what I mentioned too was, usually, weekly, the scoring's done, goes to Cliff, and then Cliff sends it to me. And then I get this updated. So depending on, I'll talk to Cliff about whether he wants, just you guys can send them right to me and I can update them. Anyway, that was the church today. It was good to see everyone. Have a great weekend.